So the Nintendo Switch has sold nearly 5 million units as of the company's financial reports last month, with Mario Kart 8 Deluxe selling 3.54 million units also, which is great considering that game is not actually a new game and it was actually released originally on the Wii U. So having said that, what other games on the Wii U might be worth considering to be sort of re-released, remastered, or just relaunched on the Nintendo Switch? Let's find out. So many people who have picked up a Nintendo Switch didn't own a Wii U. It's quite a common scenario for the console, considering the Wii U didn't really do that well. You know, everyone knows what happened to the console. People didn't pick it up, didn't really have the game support from third parties. The first party games, however, were actually usually quite good. There's many gems on that system, and many gems on that system that have not been played by the masses. So what a good idea would it be for some of those to be relaunched on the Nintendo Switch, where people can finally get to play some of the good games the Wii U had to offer. So having said this, I have picked out 5 Wii U games which I feel personally would benefit from having a sort of relaunch or remake on the Wii U. Maybe some cases they would need some changes, maybe some additional features such as Mario Kart 8 benefited from. But in general, I just feel like these games are worth being relaunched because so few people got to play them before. They deserve a second crack at the whip, so to say. Okay, so let's begin. So one obvious choice, and I'm sure many people will agree or have already called for this one to be made on the Nintendo Switch, but that is Super Mario Maker. So this classic game which allows you to make your own Mario course through various generations of the Mario franchise, going back to the SNES days. You couldn't make one in the new Super Mario Bros. Art style. Released on the 10th of September 2015, and as of now has sold roughly 3.9 million copies on the Wii U, nearly 4 million. That's the latest figure I could find anyway, and is the 7th best game to be sold on the Wii U, 7th best selling game. This game changed the rules of side-scrolling Mario games. So instead of just having the new Super Mario Bros., the next sort of installment in that franchise, where you just have so many levels, so many worlds to go through, and you crack on, you get on with it, you finish the game. This time, there was levels obviously built into it as examples of what you can do with the game. But you could just go and make your own level, you can make them as crazy as you want. And not only that, you could go and download other people's levels, you could play them. You could have, see how fast you did it compared to other people. You like them, rate them so they go up the charts, all that sort of social interaction. And the game was very, very positive. Everyone loved the game. I mean, who wouldn't want to create their own Mario stages? A lot of people came up with very creative ideas, and I think there's over 7 million courses being created on Super Mario Maker, which is better than the maybe 50 courses you'd get in a conventional Mario game, because 7 million to choose from. So you're never going to get bored, really. I guess you could see it as the Little Big Planet of a Mario. Anyway, this game obviously only reached nearly 4 million people available on the Wii U. I know it was also available later on a 3DS, however it's not quite the same game on a 3DS. Obviously got to be slimmed back due to the console's capabilities, and I think a lot of the social aspects were missing on the 3DS version. So why not port it to the Switch? This game was one of the best selling games on the Nintendo Wii U. It came out quite late in the life cycle, really. And considering the Nintendo Switch has already sold more consoles than the Wii U sold versions of this game, I think it's a no-brainer that this needs to be brought over to the Nintendo Switch as a direct port or otherwise. Now, the reason I say that is because obviously Mario Maker was heavily dependent on the Wii U gamepad for the touchscreen controls to sort of make your level. That's not going to be available on the Switch due to the fact that you can't play with the touchscreen while you're playing on the telly. Obviously there's going to have to be some sort of alternative control scheme in place, but I'm sure they can do something about that with the the analog sticks. It might be a little bit more difficult to sort of create courses when you're playing on TV mode, but then when you're playing on just the Switch itself, you can have all the conventional touchscreen capabilities as you had in the previous Wii U version. So it's just about figuring out a way of making it playable when it's just in docked mode, so that on a TV you can still create your courses if you wanted to. I mean, most people probably could just make their courses when they're playing in handheld mode, and then when they want to play people's courses, play on the TV. But they've got to make both options available just because of the way the system works. So that's the only thing they need to overcome, but I definitely think Nintendo should look at bringing this game to the Nintendo Switch. So the second game I'd like to add to this list is none other than Super Smash Bros. For Wii U. So Super Smash Bros. Is one of the most well-loved Nintendo franchises because it brings all of their franchises together in one game. Obviously one fighting game. But the games also take a really long time to make, and I don't think it's time quite yet to make the new one because I'm not sure really quite how much they can add into it from the previous game. It only came out September 2014, so not even 3 years ago yet, which I'm actually quite shocked at myself. So it's definitely too early to make a new fully pledged game, and if they were to go down that route I would say another 2 years minimum until that game releases. But the Switch has just launched, and another 2 years down the line the Switch will be over 2 years old. I feel like maybe sometime next year they could maybe just port over the Wii U version, just call it Super Smash Bros. For the Switch, maybe include all the DLC that was available to download with the Wii U version, as they did with Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. And this could be the definitive version of Super Smash Bros. As well, and it would be nice if they chucked someone else in, like maybe the Ice Climbers, which were taken out due to the 3DS limitations, but that would be, I think, quite sufficient for this game. They don't need to go and make a fully fledged new game just yet. And I know that the developer Sakurai was quite ill after making this one because of problems he has with his wrist, and he likes to get heavily involved with designing the game. He's not really able to do that as much as he'd like to at the moment. I think that might be one consideration they make with not maybe taking the new iteration of the game forward. If they had to pass the development team over to someone else, it would be the first time since the game sort of began, and that would be a risk then as well, because obviously it's a new team taking on such an iconic franchise in Super Smash Bros. And I'm sure Sakurai would struggle with allowing that as well. So I don't think they should be making a new game of Super Smash Bros. Until he is ready to do so, and until otherwise he says someone else can go ahead with it, just because of how much effort he's put into the franchise up to this point. Another note on the side of that is the fact that 3DS is still alive, is still a system that is alive by Nintendo. So having Super Smash Bros. Wii U and 3DS come out basically the same time, they can now launch the definitive version on the Switch, which can also go alongside the 3DS version. It's the same game still available on their two platforms, which are sort of available and pushing right now until the 3DS dies off, which probably isn't too far away, but still, I think that would make a lot of sense just to have a definitive version of the Wii U/3DS version of Super Smash Bros. Coming to the Nintendo Switch. And I think the local multiplayer aspect of the Switch console, you can just go to work, pull off your Joy-Cons, have two people play and Smash on the screen. I think that would really suit the Switch. So the quicker they get a Smash game on the Switch, the better, basically. Okay, so number 3 on the list might be a little bit of a weird one for some people, due to the fact that Super Mario Odyssey is arriving in the next couple of months, just around the corner. However, I have gone for Super Mario 3D World. But not just Super Mario 3D World, I think it would be a great idea to sort of put in together in this game Captain Toad as well, as sort of a side game with Super Mario 3D World. So obviously Captain Toad was based off the little minigame puzzle things in Super Mario 3D World, and they changed it into a full game, made a lot more levels. So why not couple these two together, have Super Mario 3D World and Captain Toad Treasure Tracker as a sort of one game for the Nintendo Switch. Obviously, you've got Super Mario Odyssey coming just before Christmas this year, October I believe is launching, and that is great, but that Mario game is not the same sort of Mario game as Super Mario 3D World, which is weird because they're both 3D. It's not like one of them's a 2D version of Mario, which is usually what the Mario games are broken up into, the 2D side-scrolling sort of game and the 3D version. But anyone who's played Super Mario 3D World, compare that to like Super Mario 64, Super Mario Galaxy, and yes, it is a completely different sort of game. So I think launching that on the Switch maybe next year again wouldn't really be a bad idea. I mean, it was a really fun game. It's the first sort of 3D Mario game that gives you proper multiplayer, and again, if you want to focus on the Switch's strength, which is local multiplayer using the multiple Joy-Cons, or if you have the other controllers, that's fine. But when you're out and about, using the multiple Joy-Cons, just give one to your friend and you can both play a fully fledged 3D Mario game. And it's a really good fully fledged 3D Mario game at that. Obviously Captain Toad wasn't multiplayer, but I think just considering it's based off 3D World, really releasing that game on its own, you know, might leave a little bit of a sour taste with some people. If you couple it with Captain Toad, which a lot of people didn't go out and buy, I mean, it was only a little spin-off game, but it was really good, really fun, a really good puzzle sort of game. So putting that in there as well, I think that would sweeten the deal a little bit. You're getting sort of 2 games for the price of 1, and I think that would be a really good move for Nintendo with the Switch. Something to maybe take over the games next year, if they want to carry on their one big game a month sort of thing. They could release that in 1 month where they got a gap or something like that, and I'm sure it would sell well. It is a really good game in the end. Okay, so moving on to number 4, and I've got Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze. So that was the second installment in the Donkey Kong Country Returns series, which was obviously brought back on the original Wii with Donkey Kong Country Returns. So Tropical Freeze improves on Donkey Kong Country Returns, and it was a really good platforming game. Really difficult as well in some stages, which I'm sure some people would like to point out. However, I'm sure that the developers behind Tropical Freeze have said, you know, they're moving on to other things for now. They're leaving Donkey Kong there. They don't want to make too many new games in this sort of franchise in a short space of time. They don't want to overdo it sort of thing. So why not bring the last game, Tropical Freeze, to the Switch? Or you could go one step further again and remaster Donkey Kong Country Returns, put it with Tropical Freeze in one bundle, as I just said with Mario and Captain Toad, and put that on the Switch. You get 2 games for the price of 1 on the Switch again, and it's not like it's 2 bad games, it's 2 really good games. You're just increasing the library again, keeping a franchise going which has another installment on the Switch yet. I mean, I'm sure they will get a Donkey Kong game on the Switch later on, but it's just put in, you know, you've got a Zelda, you've got a Mario, you might have a Super Smash Brothers, there's Mario Kart, put a Donkey Kong on there, you've got a Metroid coming obviously, just getting all your franchises on there, Splatoon as well. You know, just give it a lot of variety for the people to play and encourage more people to buy the system, because you've got all these quality games on there. So it's another really good game that you could port over from the Wii U to the Switch, and again, if you wanted to go further, the Wii version as well in one bundle. And finally, I'm going to leave the first party games for the last installment. So number 5 on the list, we're going to go with Ubisoft's Wii U launch title, which is Zombie U. Now you might think, what the hell is he putting Zombie U on this list for? But let me explain. Basically, Zombie U obviously came out on Wii U as a launch title as part of their sort of plan to say, oh look, we're for more older people now. More older people or adult gamers, more sort of hardcore gamers can play our system. That's what we're here for. We're going to give you the content you want. So they gave you Zombie U, and that was pretty much it. Nothing really happened after that. Zombie U, you know, it wasn't an absolutely amazing game, but it was a decent game, decent entry. It was nice to see something different on the Wii U, and it was good to have that as a Wii U exclusive for, you know, quite a few years. Obviously, Zombie without the U launched last year on the Xbox One and PlayStation 4, actually being a PlayStation Plus free game on the month that it did launch. So it's been remastered already for the current gen consoles, so why not just bring that version, if it can. I mean, it might need to be lowered down a little bit, but why not just bring that version over to the Switch as well? Call it Zombie as you have on the other ones, because obviously it's not the Wii U anymore. But you know, it was a good launch title for the Wii U. It didn't sell, you know, millions and millions, but why not just port it over to the Switch? You know, it gives another type of genre, zombie sort of genre, which I don't believe has been met on the Switch. Maybe one indie game, The Vaccine, I think it might be called. But other than that, you know, a sort of first-person zombie apocalypse survival sort of game, which was an exclusive to Nintendo at one point. I think it'd be a good idea to port that over. It's not going to sell, you know, millions of units again, but it's another thing to add to the library. And obviously Ubisoft have stated they want to support the Switch more, and they're going to announce more games shortly. So this could be something easy they could put over, just to, you know, make a little bit more money for them, because at the end of the day, that is what it's all about, is making money. And again, expands the library on the Switch, which is never a bad thing. So let me know what you think about my list. Do you think these 5 games should be ported or remastered on the Nintendo Switch? Have you got any other games which you think would be a better shout to sort of get a re-release on the Nintendo Switch? Let me know what you think in the comments below. Leave a like if you enjoyed this video and subscribe for more gaming content.